Hello my friends and welcome. We have the military map update for today and the Ukrainian army continued to move forward. It's been confirmed that some of the territory was liberated from the Russian occupiers, and the gray area you may see in that region is the fighting area, where it's hard to say if Russian army is present or not. So let's zoom out a little bit and let's go to the timeline. It was yesterday and it is today. We moved forward also over here. Speaking about Bakhmut, we also have some great news from that place, but according to different resource, not according to the deep state map. This is the Bakhmut city itself, and as you can see, Russia is trying to get into the residential area of the district that our guys hold, but Ukraine started the counterattack and we pushed Russians away from those positions, and it's the good sign that we are able to do it in the city itself. Even though Wagner's moved all of their forces into that area, still they're unable to take that district. The main thing to get the Bakhmut under control again and try to encircle the Wagner forces in that area is to take control over the elevation, the hills over here and also near to Klishivka. As we know, Russian command center was attacked yesterday and Russia lost 4 of the colonels, and today they confirmed that. Officially, Russia recognized that they've lost 2 colonels, but from other resources, also Russian resources, we understand that they are dramatic losses for Russia. One more Russian headquarters base was attacked today near to Avdiivka. Probably we used the HIMARS rockets for that. As you can see, the counterattack operation that is performed nowadays by Ukrainian side is quite effective. However, it's not that fast as it could be, because again we used the limited amount of our forces in that region, and it's better to cut our enemy little by little. So during the next 48 hours I expect our guys to move towards Berhivka over here to take the elevation and to take the water reservoir, and also we should move to Klishivka because the command of the Russian forces was demolished over there. And I may say that today Russia stopped running. They tried to resist, but they were not able to build adequate defense positions because they were on offensive, and you cannot go to defense in a matter of days or something. So they want to dig down to the ground nowadays. And why do they start to resist? Because Wagner's moved their forces to the flanks, so that's why they today start to lose some territory in the city itself, and they may lose even more. So we push Wagner's actually from 3 of the main sides, actually from 4 of the sides. One is here, one directly from the city, and the other one is coming from Soledar from the north part. However, for now, this is just the auxiliary factor of the Ukrainian offensive action. It's been 4 days already since this operation has started, and we need the small break to put new reinforcements and to change our soldiers on the front lines. Nevertheless, you can see that day by day we take some territories back. Today, President Zelensky on a conference in Germany got the question from one of the journalists, then Ukraine expects to start the counterattack. And President Zelensky said that based on the help that we got nowadays, probably in 2 more visits we'll start it. Well, the next visit has already been started. He went to France to meet with Emmanuel Macron, and not only. So it's 15th of May already for me, and I expected the counterattack to start till 15th, but based on the weather, I was wrong. Actually, it's hard to predict the weather for more than 3 days. Well, the next week should be also good for the weather in Ukraine. So the main counterattack may start the next week, but again our general command knows better than me. Anyways, I have no doubts that it will happen based on the weaponry that we are receiving nowadays. We have more information about the case with the shutdown of 4 Russian aircraft, and today our commander of the Air Force said that the Russian air defense hit their own airplanes and helicopters. It's the official version that Ukraine gives. Also, Prigozhin confirms that he says that it could be the Russian air defense system, because if you draw the circle around all of the airplanes and helicopters that been shot down, they are within the same range of 20 kilometers with its center in Russia. Well, I'm still not sure about that. Yes, there's the possibility that it could have been the Russian air defense, but still I know that there is the very old Soviet but reliable system that recognizes the enemy aircraft and recognizes the friendly aircraft. The special transponder is installed on the Russian airplanes. Not only military, but some of the civilian airplanes are equipped with that feature. I agree that it could be the Russian air defense, but knowing the system, this transponder, I understand that they may shut down their own airplanes, but not by mistake. They should have done it for purpose. And I don't see the reason why should they purposely shut down their airplanes that were flying in Ukraine or close to Ukraine performing the military missions. So it is preferable more for Ukraine. So Prigozhin points out that there is the circle over here that you can draw. The distance is mostly the same, so the center is somewhere here in the forest of Russia. Speaking about the Mi-8 helicopters, those were not cheap because they had the special equipment that used to create the interference for the Ukrainian and other types of the radar systems. And they don't have lots of those aircraft types, so it was the great achievement probably of Ukraine or maybe by the Russian air defense. My friends, please check out my Telegram channel because there I share the videos from the front lines. For example, here I can partially show you. So this is the Klishivka, this is the Bakhmut area. So our guys are working over here in this place very close to the Klishivka village, and we managed to target the Russian tank out there. We used lots of the artillery shells. Some of them missed the tank. The tank was very fast, but after all it was demolished by artillery shell and went kaboom. Also on my Telegram channel you'll see how our tanks move forward on the Russian positions, taking the ground near to Davydov. According to some information, we have already taken that place under control, but I'll just wait for the military map update. And this is the official statement of the Russian Ministry of Defense. Yes, I know some Russian, so I may translate. Russian Ministry of Defense over here admits that they've lost the Colonel Vyacheslav Makarov, the commander of the 4th Motorized Brigade. He was personally on the front lines and managed the fight, but actually he was in Klishivka, a little bit further behind the front lines. As the Russian Defense Ministry says, their Colonel Yevgeny Brovko got shrapnelled by artillery, and I would say that 80% of all of the wounds on this war soldiers got from the artillery shells, from shrapnel. That is why artillery means a lot. We got the information before that Russia has almost 400,000 soldiers in Ukraine, but according to the defense intelligence of the UK, Russia got around 200,000 soldiers, and they say that they cannot fight effectively in defense throughout the front line. So their army consists of around 70 brigades and regiments that are divided into 5 different parts. But from our experience that we are all together see during this war, the most effective part of the Russian army is not the Russian army, it's the private army, the Wagner. If we speak about the regular Russian army, we haven't saw any big achievements of that after they retreated from Kherson. Definitely only Wagner moves forward. They've took Soledar, they've almost took the Bakhmut city, but they could be trapped because they are connected also with the regular Russian army and they have the conflict between each other. Well, this situation is perfect for us because they are divided and we can move forward in that case. Also in Bakhmut, I would say it's the perfect time for the counterattack. Maybe we just wait for more clashes between Wagner and the Russian regular army, who knows? But I think it's time to start. Again, I'm not the fan of the counterattack that we expect because I understand that lots of the soldiers will pay their lives for that one, for the success of the Ukrainian army. Unfortunately, there is no way out for us because Putin is not going to take his army away from Ukraine. And one of the Zelensky's advisor, Podolak, today said that the counteroffensive of Ukraine in Bakhmut is just a prelude or the small start of the future Ukrainian counterattack. He says that the counteroffensive of the Ukrainian army is not the single mission. There will be the series of the actions that will lead to the liberation of our land. He says that the Bakhmut is the door that opens the success for the beginning of the counteroffensive. Olaf Scholz seems like he changed his position completely, so Germany is now on a full throttle almost to supply Ukraine with the required weaponry, and we have even the tweets from the Chancellor Olaf Scholz even on Ukrainian language. Russia moved most of their strategic bombers to the northern side of Russia to Alenia airfield that is close to the border of Finland and Norway. And from that airfield they start the missions to fire the cruise missiles on Ukrainian territory. So they fly the long-haul flight to Caspian Sea, and from Caspian Sea they fired their rockets. This guy is the legendary Ukrainian warrior who fought one against many of the Russians who tried to take his position. He fired from AK, he fired from the machine gun, and finally he was able to withstand the ground, causing losses for Russians, and he unfortunately got wounded. Today he is still in a good temper. As you can see, he got some sort of the debris just stretching from his back. He showed it, but there are lots of the stuff that I cannot show you here, so for that please go for my Telegram channel again, or you may go to his Telegram channel. I will also swipe the link on my Telegram channel for Predator. So in general he's okay, he just needs the time to spend in a hospital because the wound is quite deep, but I think in a few months he'll be better than new. About dictator Lukashenko, it's been confirmed that he is sick. Russian MPs spread that information, but they didn't say how severe is his sickness. But the fact that he got the bandaged arm, then he was in Kremlin, and the fact that no one saw him for almost 1 week, well, definitely he is sick. President Zelensky told in his interview that Xi Jinping promised not to send the weaponry to Russia. I guess they tried before, but it appeared that it didn't work for China well. That's why they halted it for the moment, but China wants to keep Putin's regime in place. That is why they may still support their weaponry through Kazakhstan, maybe even Uzbekistan and other countries that were presented during the celebration of the Great Patriotic Victory Anniversary in Moscow. It seems like the leaders of those countries, they do not care about the image of their country, and they would easily support Russia, so they may re-export the weaponry from China, the same thing that recently Switzerland approved for Ukraine. But the Chinese economy is very dependent on the Western consumers, and last week there were some talks that some of the sanctions will be applied for the Chinese companies. After that, we heard a statement from Zelensky that China is not willing to supply the weaponry. So I think that there is some kind of the game, the big one, that is ongoing over there. Here we have the comparison of the Prigozhin's map that Wagner forces are using. So Prigozhin showed this map in his media resources. So he says that Ukraine will go to Klishivka, which is over here, will go to Yagina, which is somewhere over here, trying to encircle the Bakhmut, but also he says that we will go from the north part and also from this place as well, from what I can see from his drawing. So the situation is not really nice for Wagner's inside the Bakhmut city, and we'll see how it develops. Actually, I expected them to resist more. By the way, we have the photo of one of the Russian colonels that they've lost because of the Ukrainian attack on their headquarters in Klishivka. So he got the medal directly from Putin before. Well, now his medal accompanies him below the ground level. President Macron today said that in fact Russia went under the submission of China. and they lost the access to the Baltic Sea, which is crucial for Russia. It was unimaginable to predict even 2 years ago, but now it's the new reality. So that is why we may say that it's the geopolitical defeat of the Russian Federation. I was up to finish this video, but we have the new military map update, so it was yesterday and it is just right now. So Ukraine moves forward over here. See how the front line changes. We took more ground on the northwest side, so before and after Russia lost their positions close to those hills, and it's very important for Ukraine to continue to push in that area, taking those hills under control. If we take that, we'll take all of those villages in Berhivka, Yahidne, and that's how we may encircle the city. The reduction of this hump over here means that Russia started to withdraw their forces to Klishivka, and in future we'll take all of that ground, I'm sure about it. And further we're gonna move to Klishivka, maybe to use this ground near to the sea level between those hills, or as I said to you before, we may bypass the elevation from this direction. Also, there was the information today published from the Russian resources and from some of the Ukrainian resources that Ukraine took control over Kurdimivka over here, but it's not real from what I see from the latest update of this military map. But unfortunately we have also the bad news for the Bakhmut city itself. Prigozhin continued to throw their resources and they went to this district, as you can see. So it was before and it is today. They just entered that central part of this residential area. So unfortunately I do expect that we will move out from this place little by little, but as an exchange we're gonna encircle the Wagner forces inside that city. Still we keep some area under control to concentrate the Wagners in one place. But I want you to understand that this situation is very hard for our guys out there. I also check the Russian publics, and indeed we suffer also. There are also losses from our side, because then you're on offensive operation, you lose usually more forces and more armored vehicles and more tanks compared to the defending side. It's just the miracle for us that Russians were not prepared for this counteroffensive action and just started to run away. But now they will send more reinforcements to that area, so we need to use the time to try to encircle the Bakhmut city. Otherwise, Wagner will continue to fight in that area for a very long time. So we need to demolish them or to cause them to retreat from the city. My friends, now press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, you may find some links in the video description just below. You may support me also on Patreon or on sponsorship just on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your awesome help and your support. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.